Today we are going to talk about the concept of counting calories and being in calorie deficit for losing fat and how I lost 13 pounds in 12 weeks using same methods. If your goal is to lose weight in 2022, then this video is a must watch. I will go through step by step and help you count the exact calories that you need to eat in order to lose weight. Hey guys, welcome to Muscle Masala. My name is Chintan and today we are going to talk about calorie deficit. So in most layman terms, calorie deficit is nothing but calories in versus calories out. So what the relation is between calories in and versus calories out. For fat loss, calories in should be less than calories out, meaning you should be burning more calories than you are consuming the calories. If you want to lose weight, then it's time to stop all the fat diets that you are doing. And even the crash dieting could be good for you in a short term. It will definitely help you to lose weight, but it will do more harm than good in a long term, and you will lose your health, not only weight. So the best way to lose weight is calorie deficit. So today we will crack the code of how to calculate the calorie deficit and how to lose fat, but make no mistake that calculating the calorie deficit or operating on a calorie deficit isn't a micromanagement system. You don't have to live by it. It's just an effective way of calculating how many calories you have to eat in order to drop the pounds of weight easily in an effective way, in a safe way, without hassle and without stress. And another added advantage of understanding the concept of calorie deficit is there is no off-limit food then. You don't have to restrict on the foods that you love, but at the same time, you will understand how much food you have to eat. You know, every food comes with the calories, so you would understand how much food you have to eat that you love and still be under calorie deficit and keep losing weight. Isn't it fun? So let's understand some basics first. Now you must be getting impatient. Give me that number and I will start eating that way. It doesn't work like that. I want to teach you how to fish. So please try to understand some basics first before jumping onto that number. If you will understand how that number is calculated, then it will become very easy for you to live by that number. So in order to understand calorie deficit, first you need to understand what is the total daily energy expenditure, TDEE. And before even we calculate the total daily energy expenditure, we need to calculate how many calories you actually eat in your day right now. So I always believe that the first step to the change is awareness. It's very important for you to be aware of how many calories you eat and drink. So the best way to do this is to start reading the calories food label behind the food that you eat. Maybe if it's a packaged food, then definitely they have a food label which you can read, or you can even use the applications like MyFitnessPal or other food applications. They have a great database of all the foods that you eat daily. So calculate the amount of calories that you eat in a day right now. Now the next step would be to estimate what is our total daily energy expenditure. So before that, total daily energy expenditure is nothing but a combination of your basal metabolic rate. Basal metabolic rate, BMR, which you might have heard many times, is nothing but the amount of calories your body burns to keep you alive. It's also a combination with the thermic effect of food, which is nothing but the amount of calories your body burns to digest your food, plus the physical activity. So the total daily energy expenditure is nothing but the combination of all these three, and this is nothing but your maintenance calories, meaning if you eat this much calories throughout your life, you will never gain a single pound of weight on top of it. Well, it's very ideal to say. There are many factors when it comes to fat loss, but in an ideal situation, you won't gain any pound of fat if you eat in your maintenance calories. So what calorie deficit is basically is if you eat below your maintenance calories, then for a long period of time, you will start losing weight. If you eat above your maintenance calories for a longer period of time, you will keep gaining weight. So it is as simple as that. And if you Google it right now, how to measure my TDEE or how to maintain my weight, there would be thousands of results with different calculators that will help you measure your maintenance calories. And trust me, internet can be very confusing nowadays. You won't find a single authentic piece of information. Everyone has something different to say. So to clarify that, it's very difficult to calculate the actual maintenance calories. We should always talk in terms of range and never live by one number. So what I have done is I have done a lot of research for you guys, and I have a lot of pro tips to give you at throughout this video and also at the end of video. So stay tuned with me. I am going to share an Excel sheet with you now and then try to explain you how exactly you can calculate the amount of the number for your maintenance calories, and then we will jump into how to calculate the calorie deficit number out of that maintenance calories. So let's look into it.
So as you all can see here, I have made an Excel sheet to make it very, very easy for you all. So you can see there is a weight, which is your weight in LBS. And then you have maintenance calories here, which is nothing but total daily energy expenditure. And then you have different activity levels. So as I mentioned before, maintenance calories is nothing but combination of your basal metabolic rate and your physical activity. Your basal metabolic rate is nothing but your body burns those calories to keep you alive. So let's keep that aside, which is 70 to 75% of the total daily energy expenditure, to be very honest. But physical activity is something that varies, which varies the maintenance calories per day. So if you see, there are different levels of activities here. And as I mentioned, it's very difficult to get a number which is highly accurate when it comes to maintenance calories, because every single day is different for different people. Someday you might be extremely inactive, someday you might be highly active, someday you might be moderately active. So that number really changes every single day, and you need to be very careful that you don't live by just one number. But just to make it easy for you all, I have divided this into 4 categories. So if you are someone who has sedentary lifestyle, then you should multiply your total weight with number 13. If you are someone who is lightly active, like go to gym for 1 to 3 days, or get 1 to 3 workouts per week, then you should multiply your weight with number 14. If you are someone who is like doing 2 to 4 workouts per week and also doing some cardio, have like moderately active life, then you should multiply your weight with number 15. And if you are someone who is highly active, like someone who has a laborious job as well as you do the gym, you do the cardio, if you are an athlete, then you should multiply it with number 16. So that way you basically will get your maintenance calories, and then based on that, we will see how we can calculate calorie deficit. But for just your focus, let me hide this for you. So when you, let's pick an example of someone who is 185 lbs of weight, then in that case, they will have their total daily energy expenditure based on their activity level, which is this number. Now, I am assuming since you are on my channel, you would be definitely doing 2 to 4 workouts, and you have awareness of, being active, being fit, and that's why you are on this channel. So, 90 to 95% of people will fall under this category of moderately active. So I'm just making this green so that you know that this is something that we will be focusing more on. And so 2775 is your number for maintenance calories. Now, let's go back to what I said about maintenance calories. Those are the calories in which if you eat within this calories or this many calories, then you will maintain your current weight. Now, compare those two numbers, the number of calories you currently eat versus the number of calories you need to eat to maintain your weight. How far off are you? If you are eating more than your target number, you will gain weight. If you eat less, you will lose weight. As simple as that. Again, similar to maintenance calories, it is hard to get a single number for calorie deficit. To calculate calorie deficit, there is a wide range. If you are someone who is obese with high percentage of fat, then you can afford to be in high range of calorie deficit, like 30 to 35%. While if you are lean but want to get stage ready, then you need to be in a lower calorie deficit range, which is again 10 to 15%. But for 99% people, there is a sweet spot of 20 to 25% of range, and most people will get benefits out of that. Meaning you will be eating 75 to 80% of maintenance calories, which will keep you in calorie deficit. And let's recap on the calorie deficit. You lose weight by having a calorie deficit. A calorie deficit is eating less than your body needs to maintain itself, and thus creating a deficit. Consider it as your calorie budget. similar to how you have monthly budget for your expenses. Now you have a calorie budget to spend on your food in the form of calories per day. So you need to be smart in your food choices now. So as you can see here, as I mentioned, we are going to talk about 20 to 25% of calorie deficit. So if you are someone who is moderately active, meaning you do 2 to 4 workouts per week and do some cardio and are active in your day-to-day life, then a 185 lbs person would be eating 2775 calories to maintain their weight, and they would be eating almost 2000 calories to be in calorie deficit and lose weight every week. Now, as I mentioned, this is not a single number you live by. This is 25%. But for 20%, then there would be a range of 20 to 25%, which you have to be in. So you don't have to have an all or nothing attitude. You need to be in that range, and you should be fine. So the question really is, why 20 to 25%? If fat loss is achieved by eating less, then why not just starve and get rid of everything and then live a normal life? Well, technically, you can eat nothing all day and achieve weight loss through having a calorie deficit. Many miracle diets claim incredible results through eating specific magical foods or using unique protocols. Unfortunately, many diets out there are nothing more than a glorified crash diets. Sorry to say that. These diets put you in a severe calorie deficit, resulting in, yes, weight loss for the short term, but they can also cause health complications and damage to your metabolism in a long term, which is hard to cure. So to avoid doing the damage, the general recommendation is around 20 to 25%. And that's what I have found, and use 20% of calories less than your total daily energy expenditure on many of my clients. Some people do advise more, but I found that to be unnecessary, and 20 to 25% works best. Also, having any more than that makes it likely that along with losing fat, you will lose your lean muscle, which is not ideal, as lean muscle helps burn additional calories. Fun fact. And there are 3,500 calories in a pound of fat. So at a 20% calorie deficit a day, most people will lose about a pound in a week, which is a healthy fat loss. That being said, note that your body can become conditioned to same repeated exercise and or diet, and this can affect your daily calorie intake and your total daily energy expenditure. So it's always a good idea to switch things up from time to time, a bit exercise wise, a bit diet wise, and that could be another video for another day. But let's get back to our Excel sheet. So since we have now, after being calculating the calorie deficit number, you might be still wondering, but how do I get started? You must be wondering how you can consume these calories. And I suggest that you use macro counting to accomplish the goal of hitting your daily calorie intake and creating a calorie deficit in order to lose weight in a healthy and sustainable way. Now, counting macros, or you can say a flexible dieting, is a non-restrictive and allows you to eat all of your favorite foods as long as you make sure that they fit within your calorie budget, of course. You could eat unhealthy foods and still achieve weight loss, but weight loss and health are not mutually exclusive. Let me say that. My advice would be to fill the majority of your diet with fresh veggies, fruits, nuts, seeds. And if you are a non-vegetarian, then include lean meats for a good amount of protein. If you're a vegetarian, go for a high source of proteins like paneer, cottage cheese, tofu, etc. And this way you can feel great and achieve weight loss while still enjoy your favorite foods. Now, let's get back to our Excel sheet. After calculating, about 25% of your calorie deficit, it is time to understand how we are going to eat those calories. And I will give you some pro tips at the end of this, so stay tuned with me. But just to start with, every food is made up of protein, carbs, and fat, which are nothing but your macronutrients. Since all energy is derived from macros you eat, counting them is a perfect way to track your food consumption and put yourself in a safe calorie deficit that won't cause you to feel starved like other popular diets do. Also, the advantage of tracking macronutrients is that it helps you eat a good balance of foods and helps to ensure that weight loss is from fat tissue being broken down for energy and not the muscle tissue, which is, as I mentioned, very important for your overall health as well. Now, as you can see here, it is recommended to consume about 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Now, this range depends on few factors, but if you are someone who is working out regularly, especially someone who falls in this category, basically would need at least 1 gram of protein per body weight. So here for 180 or 185 lbs person, they need to consume about 185 grams of protein. And again, let me make this very clear. It's a range and not exactly a number. These all are just estimates and no one can hit the exact number. So please don't have all or nothing attitude. I'm saying this again and again because I have come across so many clients and so many friends and family members who get so much wrapped around this number. And if they don't hit this number, they just completely give up, which should not be the case. We are talking in range here. So if you consume less someday and more someday, that is fine. So these are not the rules to live by, but the guidelines that will direct you to a sustainable fat loss. So, use those numbers wisely. Now, similarly, a good fat ratio to aim for is around 25 to 30% of your daily macros. Here, I'm including like 0.25 to 0.40 grams, depending on how you feel or what are your favorite foods. You can play around within this range for your fats, and the remainder of your calories will come from carbohydrates. So minus your calorie deficit number from protein multiplied by 4 and fat multiplied by 9, and then divide that overall number that you get by 4 to get to this number. Now, the logic behind this calculation is 1 gram of protein is nothing but 4 calories and 1 gram of fat is nothing but 9 calories. So we are going to multiply this grams with those numbers and, minus it from the calorie deficit. And then 1 gram of carbs is nothing but 4 calories. So divide that number by 4 to get to this number. Don't worry about all that. If you don't understand it, I'm going to attach this Excel sheet below in the description and you can download it for easy calculations. Now, people who are wanting to count macros but have engaged in low carb diets in the past may be freaked out by the number of carbs, but this is exactly the restrictive type of dieting that you need to get free from. You need to, understand from what foods, what calories you get, what macros that food contains, and based on that, you need to eat. Decide on where do you want to fall, whether you want to follow high carb, low carb, high fat, low fat. The overall logic is you need to be in the calorie deficit. That's it. So carbs do not make you fat or keep you from losing weight as long as you are eating them in context with how much energy your body requires on a given day. So every effective diet I've come across, especially, diets like ketos and all that, whether it is high fat, high carb, low carb, all of them uses a calorie deficit to achieve weight loss overall. So overall, you need to eat 185. So if you are 185 lbs person, then your calorie deficit is around 2000 calories. And then you need to eat 185 grams of protein, 56 grams of fat, and 210 grams of carbs. And there are n number of ways to measure your food. You can measure it via food labels. You can go to the USDA database, which is a very authenticated source of database for counting your food calories, or you can use applications like MyFitnessPal, etc., which has a large food database to count your macros. As I mentioned, you can choose to be in any range of fat as you wish to, but I have also mentioned that some people, like, people who have high diabetes or who have insulin resistance or women who has PCOD would, likely suit more of a high fat diet than a high carb diet because your body doesn't take carbs in a good way. So, stick to high fat diet, but for other people, they can fall into any range that they feel comfortable and the range in which they can enjoy their favorite foods.
So let me give you a pro tip that I promised you all initially when we started this video. You don't need to count your fats and carbs if you are counting your calories and protein intake. Let me say that again. You don't need to count your carbs and fat if you eat your protein exactly where it falls in your range, meaning the protein is more satiety in nature. So if you hit that number and if you eat protein first out of your plate, it is highly unlikely that you will eat more carbs or fats, uh, and provided that you are also counting the calories that you are consuming, of course, and staying within the calorie deficit. That being said, I would still recommend to count your fats and carbs if you are new to this. Count all your macros, count all your calories that you eat until you start understanding the portions of your meals, and then you start understanding what food contains what calories, and you have enough knowledge to make decision without measuring the food. So in a nutshell, as I mentioned, you need to just measure the total daily energy expenditure from the Excel sheet that I just showed you. Based on that, get your calorie deficit number, and from that you will get all the macros that you need to eat, and that will give you a good idea of how you can consume those calories. Make sure that you eat 80% of healthy food in your definition of healthy, and also enjoy the foods that you like to eat without having a guilt of eating them, because now you just have to be 80% healthy and you can eat 20% of the foods that you enjoy, making sure that you are still in the calorie deficit. Make sure that you use your calorie budget wisely. So hope this was helpful to everyone. I know it's a very big video for someone who is new to this, and this might overwhelm you, but trust me, it's very easy once you get started. Things get simpler day by day. Just get started with some basics like counting the calories, or counting macros, and slowly you will start understanding how to be a master of this game. You don't have to do this for your life. There would be a time in your life when you don't have to measure your food, and you will start understanding just based on looking at the portions of the meals, and you will start understanding how much calories and how many macros that particular food has. Please like and subscribe to my channel for more video on this. I will be posting more videos on the similar content in future. Stay safe. Chintan signing off.